Touhou is a series of bullet hell shoot-'em-up video games that garnered massive popularity due to its lovable characters, solid mechanics, and catchy music. The success of the mainline games has led to the creation of several fighting game spin-offs, each with its own style of play. In this video, we'll focus on Touhou 12.3, known officially as Touhou Hisoutensoku, or Soku for short. Despite its age and niche status, the abundance of helpful tutorials and great online play via rollback netcode has kept the competitive Soku scene active and growing. Even if you've played many other 2D fighting games before, Soku will still offer a unique experience. The game features aspects of deck building from card games, allowing you to customize the special and super moves your character has access to in a match, while still keeping the roster diverse and relatively balanced. While the combos are short and the special move motions are simple to perform, Soku's 8-way movement system makes the matches fast and hectic. Lastly, its weather system constantly changes the rules of the game and encourages players to manipulate it in their favor. Now, let's learn how to play the game. Battles revolve around 3 options. Number 1. Bullets. Projectiles that easily cover large portions of the screen. Number 2. Grazing. Movement options that can go through bullets unharmed. And number 3. Melee attacks. Normals with great range and speed that beat grazing, but can't be used while grazing. Generally speaking, bullets lose to grazing, grazing loses to melee, and melee loses to bullets. Your goal during the neutral phase is to use bullets and movement to create an opportunity to connect to melee attack, then continue a combo on hit, or start to apply pressure and mix-ups on block. Attacking from the air is very common, as besides great aerial normals, each character has access to 2 air actions per jump, air dashing and flying. Most of the faster options such as dashing, air dashing, flying, and high jumps graze bullets, but as soon as they are cancelled into an attack, the grazing property ends. They can also be cancelled into other movement options at any point. This allows you to move across the screen in an unpredictable way, letting you vary up your route in order to approach, lend your threatening melee attacks, and start pressure. Most of the actions you can do in a match, such as firing bullets, flying, and using special moves, costs spirit, which regenerates over time and is stacked in several orbs. But the spirit gauge also doubles as a guard gauge. Every character has low and overhead moves that are fast and unreactable, but when you block them wrong, literally called wrong block state, they don't score an actual hit. Instead, they damage the spirit gauge and lead to a bigger frame advantage. Removing enough spirit will eventually lead to a guard break, a loss of a full spirit orb, and an opening to a full combo. Bullets are useful in block pressure, as they do spirit damage even on block. But when used in a predictable spot, they can be escaped via jumping or dashing. A wrong block state can prevent this and allow some pressure strings to be used without their normal gaps. Border Escape is a general defensive tool against pressure. It costs 1 spirit orb and allows you to cancel block stun into a jump or a dash. So when bullets are used in a predictable spot, this creates an opening to get away from the pressure string via Border Escape. On the other hand, it loses to melee attacks and cannot be used during a wrong block state. So let's summarize. Bullets are strong and cover large portions of the screen, but they lose to grazing. Grazing movement is strong but loses to melee attacks, and melee attacks are strong but due to their short range they lose to bullets. That's the battle system in a nutshell. Now, let's talk about the card system. You go into the match with a deck of 20 cards you customize in advance to your liking. During the match, you draw cards which give you access to exclusive abilities when used. Instead of a super gauge, filling the card gauge during the fight will draw 1 card out of your deck. There's a dedicated button to cycle through the cards you've drawn so far, and another dedicated button to use the current top card in your hand. The price of using a card is by discarding drawn cards, so if a card has a cost of 1, it pays for itself. If a card has a cost of 3, using it will require you to sacrifice the next 2 cards after it. When you draw a new card, it is placed in the bottom of your hand. By cycling your hand before drawing it, you can control in which position to put the new card and dictate the order of your hand. This helps prevent high-priority cards from being discarded by activations of expensive cards before them. Spell cards are one-time use super moves. System cards are universal tools with various utilities, such as guard reversal, an invincible attack, or push block. The skill cards give your character a permanent upgrade for the rest of the match, such as making one of your specials better or replacing it with a completely different special. The default decks the game provides are bad, so when starting out, it's recommended to copy a deck list from a top player and make changes to it only after you understand the game well enough to develop your own preferences. Lastly, let's go over the weather system. There are 20 different weather conditions, and each changes the rules of the game in a different way. Some changes are relatively small, like being able to perform an extra air dash. Others are drastic, like being unable to block. Your goal is to manipulate the weather and activate conditions that favor you and prevent the opponent from doing the same. When there's no weather active, also known as clear weather, the timer at the top of the screen counts from 0 to 99, and when it's finished, the weather forecast shown above it activates. Then the timer counts back to 0, the weather effect ends, and the new random weather forecast will show up. The weather forecasts are organized in a cycle, and specific conditions in the match change the forecast one condition forward in the cycle. These conditions are wall slam, ground slam, knockdown, and spell card usage. So while the starting forecast is random, the players fight over how many steps to move it in the cycle before the timer reaches 99. When you start a combo, you may choose to do one with a specific number of wall slams and ground slams in order to get to a specific weather forecast. If you got hit yourself, you might want to purposely avoid air teching and let yourself get knocked to the ground in order to switch to current forecast. That's it for our introduction. Soku seems daunting at first, but it's easier to learn if you try to focus only on the general fighting first, then the cards, then the weather. In the community's Discord server, there are plenty of resources and helpful players to play with. Make sure to give it a visit. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.
What will come out?